Hello, Texas Stonewall Democrats. I'm Robert Vargas. I have the great privilege of being the president of this fine organization. We are just so excited to have each and every one of you joining us this evening. We've got a great program for you tonight, a great legislative town hall. We're going to be joined first by Representative Jessica González, who is the newly elected chair of the House LGBT Caucus. And then we'll be joined by Representative Jean Wu. We've got a great evening tonight. We're excited to have both Representative Jessica González of the House LGBT Caucus, as well as Representative Jean Wu, who is the newly elected chair of the Texas House Democratic Caucus. There's just a lot of changes. I know there's a lot of excitement. And so we're going to jump right in with Representative González. How are you doing, ma'am?
I am great. How is everyone tonight?
We're good. Listen, thank you so much. First of all, for stepping up to run. It's really exciting to see that you're now leading the House LGBT Caucus. And I can't wait to hear what you got going on.
I think that, we don't know what this next session is going to look like. And I'm very thankful for my colleagues to put this trust in me to lead our caucus and to make sure that our community is going to continue to be protected as much as we can.
No, absolutely. So speaking of the caucus, I'm adding Mo Jenkins. Mo Jenkins is an officer with Texas Stonewall, and she's got our first question just to get us going for the night.
Thank you so much, Robert. And hello again, Chairwoman. I'm super excited to be able to ask this first question to kick us off. So for those who are not familiar with the Texas legislature, can you tell us what the LGBTQ caucus is and what it does and how it functions within the House?
Yes. So the LGBT caucus started in my first session. So I was one of the founding members and I've been the vice chair since my first session. I have the honor to be serving as a chair in my incoming fourth term as a Texas House member. And essentially, honestly, when we decided to start this caucus, it was because we had an unprecedented amount of openly LGBTQ members who joined the Texas legislature, which now we have more, which is fantastic. And I think it was our community needed to see that there were people that represented them in the Texas House, and that we knew that they can rely on us to fight for the issues that are the most important to our community. And that's really our job. Our job is to have an open door, is to listen to folks in our community, is to be that front line, fighting as much as we can to defend our community. And sometimes try to bring some, not always be on the defense. And our hope is to be on the offense, and fight for things, like non-discrimination, covers non-discrimination bills within our state. Unfortunately, we're not there yet, but that doesn't mean that we don't stop fighting for that.
Thank you so much, Representative, for that answer. Visibility and presence is so important, right? It's important. I say, the gays, we're like Santa Claus. We do exist and we're everywhere all the time. So we appreciate you stepping up for that. Joining us this evening is also Corey Carrasco. Corey is the president of Dallas Stonewall, which I'm sure you're familiar with. So Corey, go ahead and ask your question to the representative.
Hi, Jessica. Good to see you again. Hope you're doing well. Just wanted to know if you can speak to the priorities of the LGBTQ caucus as it pertains to the speaker's race, and also positioning the broader Democratic caucus to be supportive with fighting back against these anti-LGBTQ legislations that are coming up.
So to, I guess, just tackle your question, because it's a few different issues I think that you brought up. I think in regards to priorities, I think that we can speak to some of the legislation that has been filed, I think way before even I joined the legislature, that we always hope to get through the Texas House and to be passed into law. One of those being the Commerce and Non-Discrimination Bill, one of those being banning conversion therapy. Those are things that will always be a priority for our caucus. That's one thing. And I think that you mentioned the speaker I'm trying to understand the exact question that you're asking. But I think that right now, my goal as the incoming chair of the Texas House LGBTQ Caucus is that we're not always on the defense. We're always going to have to be on the defense, and we know that. But my hope is that we can create a conversation, that we can have those conversations, and that we have an opportunity to introduce these bills that are going to not only create a conversation that we have to be on the defense all the time, but we can talk about why it's important for us to be an accepting state, for us to be inclusive, for us, because that means so much for our state. And polls show that a large majority of Texans support having equality in our state, and what that means for not only our economy, but for people just trying to live, just trying to be their authentic self. And so that's really, we're just trying to create that space. And I think that for a lot of the folks that are probably on this in this meeting right now have worked with me, and my door has always been open, and it will always be open, because it's very, very hard to do this job. And I know it's very, very hard for all of you guys who do this work and for parents, for kids who have to be in front of sometimes these very, very, very hard conversations, and sometimes in front of Republican legislators who don't see it the same way that we see it. And us creating that space for them to know that the Texas Capitol is their capital too, and it's always going to be their capital. And as long as I'm there, it's always going to be.
Thank you for that question, Corey. I want to circle back to something he asked. Is there anything specifically you're looking? I know one of the things that we're talking about is the speaker's race. I know that's, for those that are not familiar, the speaker is elected every 2 years. Is there something you're looking for in the person that you're going to cast a vote for Speaker of the House?
Well, if I'm going to run for speaker, I'm just kidding.
Hey, let's do it.
Hey, that was a joke.
Jessica for speaker. I love that. I love that.
Look, I know that these have been, this has been a conversation that has been, politicized. This has been something that has even gone and national news, or, what have you. And I am one of those Democrats who has not committed to any of the speaker candidates at the moment. Mm-hmm. One of my good friends, Ana Maria Ramos, is also a candidate in that race. She stands for our democratic values, and I will support my friend only because we have to support folks who support our issues, and she supports our issues. Part of what we are standing with is, it's not only, we have to understand that it's all the communities that are vulnerable, all the ones that get underrepresented. That includes our community. That includes the Black community, the brown community, the working community, the injured community, and a whole host of other communities. And that is really what has brought us together. Now, I don't know what it's going to look. I don't know who the next speaker is going to be. But we have to. But what I said with is that I need to know that our community is going to be protected, and that is the number one thing that I have been communicating in my conversations with both candidates, all three candidates, in fact. Mm-hmm. Is that's my top priority, because I'm sick of seeing our community on the menu. Some will say, "Hey, what else can they do to our community?" But they tend to be real creative. I will not stand for that, and you can guarantee that I will make sure that I will do my best to make sure that I will make sure that our community is going to be protected.
I appreciate that. And I know that's why your constituents constantly have sent you back to the House, because they know you're a fierce advocate. And so, speaking of protecting our community, we have Jessica Cohen, who has a question along the lines of our trans brothers and sisters and siblings. Go ahead, Jessica.
Hi, Jessica. How are you?
Hey,
so great to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight. So, a lot going on lately with the trans community. Our trans community is constantly under attack they seem to make for like a frequent target and political fodder for the right. So I guess my question would be, what are we expecting from the Republican side of the House as it pertains to anti-trans legislation?
And Jessica, I will tell you, and great to see you, and I love you, and look, I'm going to say I got to know Jessica at the DNC, and I'm so appreciative that we got to get to know each other. Anyway, look, I've been asking those questions too, and one of the reasons that I have not committed to anybody in this speaker race is because I need to know what that looks like. And until you can give me an answer on what their attack is, on what your red meat agenda is when it comes to our community, and especially the trans community, and unfortunately, we know that the trans community is always targeted for some reason. They don't seem to be able to tell me anything. Now, I'm not going to accept anything. I know that there's concern, on healthcare, right? For trans, for healthcare for adults. I don't think that's really been discussed. I don't think that they know yet. Now, so basically what I'm saying is that that is a no-go for me. That is off the table. And so I'm not really hearing too many issues that is a priority for the Republican caucus right now.
Great answer. That's encouraging, at least, and a great start. But thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And great
Absolutely.
to see you too.
Thank you, Jessica. Jessica's the vice president of Texas Stonewall. I'm really proud to serve with her. She's a fabulous human being and had a really good time at the DNC. I wish we could have one of those every year.
Yes.
González, we've gotten the same question over and over again. Of course, we got it via email, and Rashmi Shah, and I apologize if I messed up your name, asked the question as well here on social media. Where do you stand on school vouchers? We understand that's going to be a priority for the governor. Is there even a way to stop something when the governor makes it a priority, right?
Well, look, I have always stood with the position that I will never vote for anything that will ever undermine our public school education. I am a product of public schools, and I'm proud of that. And so anything that would ever undermine that, I will never support. Now, that has also been part of our conversations, and where we're gonna, people like me who are uncommitted, where we're gonna land, if we end up voting for, which I really don't see it right now. I'm going to vote for whoever stands with the principles that I stand with, the values that are democratic values. Clearly, we don't have, other than Ana Maria, we don't have any other Democrat who stands with those values. But I think that right now, that is part of what we're having those conversations. Is we understand the political landscape. We understand that Democrats are in the minority, and we're just trying to figure out how far do Republicans need to go on this voucher thing, right? I mean, we've made there's been some propositions on, if this comes to the floor, if they need to do this, can it possibly be something that we make it that it's a local election thing, that you leave it up to the local government, right? The independent ISDs, and so we're exploring some of those things. Honestly, it's we're trying to figure that out with what Republicans, what their agenda is, but we're really working hard to figure out what that is and trying to minimize whatever it is that's going to pass.
Has the governor put out his legislative priority list yet?
I am I'm not sure about
I
that.
haven't seen anything, so I wasn't sure if you had. We did have a question from Wesley Lawrence, who's out of our El Paso chapter. Wesley, welcome and thanks for watching and joining us all the way from El Paso. Amazing tacos, not as good as San Antonians tacos, but they were actually pretty good. I was pretty impressed.
Tranquilo.
I know we're not going to start a taco war because I lose my
No.
next election over a taco war. Like I'm not even touching that. But he wants to know, how do you encourage state reps to join the caucus? Like, and along those lines, like, what are your priorities? How do you encourage folks to join? Because I know anybody can be a member of the House LGBT caucus, correct?
Yes, absolutely. We're a nonpartisan caucus. I will say that, hey, we have had one Republican be part of our caucus. Unfortunately, well, I mean, she's no longer part of the Texas House. But look, my goal as incoming chair is to increase our membership. I'd love for every single, we can assume that, right, every single Democrat that's part of HDC, the House Democratic Caucus, are members of the Texas LGBTQ caucus. That's not the case yet. But my goal is to increase that membership. Now, look, me having these conversations, even on the speaker race stuff, right? I mean, I have friends who may not vote with me, may not vote with us on our issues even, right? Who are Democrats. But part of it is having those conversations, right? And I've had some of those even just in the past few weeks that my colleagues, right, who are Democrats, who may have not voted the way that I would have liked them to vote on our issues. And I've gotten them to commit to become a member of the Texas House LGBTQ caucus, because a lot of it oftentimes is that folks just aren't privy. They just aren't knowledgeable of the issues, right? When it comes to LGBTQ issues, especially when it comes to trans issues, even within our own community, we don't understand, sometimes folks don't understand those issues. And so it's on us to make sure that everybody's educated. And so that is how that's how we move forward, having more representation in the Texas House, making sure that we're talking to folks who don't know anything about our issues. That's how we move the needle forward.
No, absolutely. I think, one of the requests I receive from elected officials all the time, and I won't call any names because they're asking because they genuinely want to know. It's like, well, what is pansexual, and how does transgender, how does the T fit in with the L, and those types of things. And so I applaud you for reaching across the aisle and really building those relationships, because it is about educating, right? It is about letting folks know that, hey, your brother, your sister, whomever is in your life is identifying as these ways. And this is how you can honor and respect them. You may not vote for them. You may not even believe it. But hey, as someone once said, if you don't want gay marriage, just don't get one, right? And I think the same thing is for trans issues and for issues that various members of our community face. It's like, we're not asking for you to be trans. We're not asking for you to be pansexual. We're just asking you to respect our right to live our American dream as we see fit. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, and let me add, I want to add to that when I speak to that, this is even just referring to some of my colleagues that are on the border, right? And I've asked those questions. Hey, is this an issue that your constituents really talk to you about? They really care about? And my colleague said, no. Yeah. No. I mean, this is not an issue in my district. Nobody's talking about. And so that's how we, but we seem to think that it is, right? I guess just in the, turnout or whatever this last election cycle. And so that doesn't mean that we've lost that. We're lost, right? That we've lost on that issue. Just because we think that just because Trump won some of those the border area over there, that isn't an issue that people are asking them to vote against. So so I hope that gives some people a little bit of hope there that we have a chance there.
I absolutely do believe so, especially with champions like you and Representative Wu out there. Our final question for you comes from Todd Hill. Todd, this is on his second term here in Texas Stonewall.
I don't know that guy.
You don't know that guy. We got a lot of Dallas representation. I don't know about that, but Todd,
I love it. I love it.
We roll deep. We roll deep.
I was going to say, well, first and foremost, congratulations, as well as Happy New Year to you and to Angela. And I think I speak for a lot of folks here in Dallas, how proud we are of you to be in this leadership capacity at this point in time in history. I can't think of anyone better than you. And then also Vice Chair Venton Jones, also from Dallas, but most importantly, 2 former officers of Stonewall Democrats of Dallas, which also I think says a whole lot about your character, your leadership, and what you're going to bring to this session. So as you know, in your capacity as a representative here in Dallas and working with Stonewall Democrats of Dallas as a chapter, we as a caucus and the chapters across the state have always tried to be a resource to the Democratic Party, to elected officials around education, messaging, whatever support the party may feel it needs to speak on behalf of our community. Given the fight that we know we have ahead, what do you feel you need from us as a caucus and as a community to help you defend the LGBTQ plus community this upcoming session?
Look, Todd, and I've appreciated, when you led Stonewall Democrats of Dallas. Appreciate your leadership there. Like, I have seen, even since I stepped down from being on the board of Stonewall because I decided to run for office. I have seen this organization do some fantastic things. You guys have been out there, have been block walking. Please don't stop doing that. Please do more. Please do more. I think that it's important for us to have presence. Look, we saw what happened in Houston, right?
Absolutely.
And we know that our community comes out, and even not only our community but our allies, because we care about equality. And so we saw what happened in Houston, what we can do when we show up, when we come together and we fight for what is right. And so I encourage for us to continue doing that. And I'm committed to continue doing that with you guys. Look, I stepped into that race too. And I endorsed Lauren Ashley Simmons, which is normally normally state reps are just, you don't endorse against one of your colleagues.
Right.
But I felt that it was important for me to do that. And we saw victory there. What I would ask is that we continue to do that. And then I ask that when there's issues that come up in the Texas House, and sometimes it's hard for us to be able to organize that as a representative, because we have all these other things that are going on. It's important for folks to activate our communities, to get people involved, to keep people aware of the legislation, of the bills that are coming to the floor, that are coming to committee, that are going to affect them or their family or issues that they care about. And if you can, and I know it's hard for people. I know it's hard. I know that people have jobs. I know you can't show up to the Capitol and spend the day there waiting sometimes to be able to testify. But if there's an opportunity, or if there's a chance that you can, or if you can submit some kind of written comment or anything, we need that. We need to show that Texas is, that what they try to pass, that's not the Texas that we should be living in. That's not the Texas that everybody else wants. And so I ask that people be engaged, follow what's happening, because there's a lot of things that happen there, and having everybody's support and having everybody's input means more than I think that people know.
And is there a social media presence for the caucus that folks can follow for any updates or anything of that nature?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We'll share those links.
Yes, we will share those.
Absolutely share those links, and we'll put them in the chat and put them with the video once we put the video out. But thank you, Todd. Was there anything else I wanted to ask the rep before you head out?
No. Look forward to working with you this session.
Likewise, and I'll add that Equality Texas is an organization too that always has and Robert will share the link for the LGBTQ caucus, but I know that Equality Texas, if folks don't know what it's like to go testify at the Texas House, or you need directions, or you need to learn how to do it, I know that they will help walk you through it. If you want to be involved in whatever kind of way, whatever capacity, that's a great organization that can help you find the resources or can help you figure it out. And so I encourage folks to look through their website too, to find some options for you to participate.
All right. Thank you, Todd. Representative González, is there anything you want to say to Texas Stonewall before you head out? I know you've got a very busy night ahead of you as you prep for this legislative session, so we appreciate it.
I just want to say thank you for inviting me, and thank you for your support. As I become the next chair of the caucus, and I look forward to working with every single one of you. And please always know that my office is always a safe space. If you're out there lobbying, or you're out there, knocking on, meeting with legislators, meeting with senators, I know it can feel very defeating sometimes. You can always come to my office. You just need somewhere to just chill out because you're frustrated, you're pissed off, you just want to cry. You got to have a meeting. My office is always open to you, and if you need a quieter space, you're more than welcome to even use my member office to do that. And so everybody knows that about me, that it is a family space, and so I hope that you will take me on that offer, and we can work together moving forward.
Very good. Thank you so much, Representative González. We appreciate you being here, and we look forward to seeing you up in Austin. We'll be up there. Several of us are going up for the first day of session, and then we will be participating in the Equality Texas All Out at the Texas Capitol, All Out for Equality at the Texas Capitol. So we'll be putting that information out there. Thank you, Representative González. You have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
All right. What great information. I so appreciate the representative stepping up to the plate and joining us this evening. As you all know, these members have to move their entire lives to the Texas Capitol from Dallas and El Paso, from all 254 counties. They move into Austin. They have to find apartments and move into their new offices because they play shuffleboard with offices. So it's very exciting. And so we appreciate Representative González and the work that she's doing, both as a member representing the fine people of Dallas, as well as at stepping up to serve as chair. And so speaking of folks that have stepped up to serve as chair, we also have with us tonight, we're super excited to have Representative Jean Wu. Representative, thank you so much for being here, and congratulations on your election.
Thank you so much. Can you hear and see me?
Oh yeah, we can hear and see you just fine. So let me ask you, just to kick things off, what made you decide to jump into the race for chair of the House Democratic Caucus?
So I think November was tough, right? Mm-hmm. November was tough for all of us. And, a part of me really wanted to just give up and to say, screw this, and let's just go do something else, and whatever else. And, after I sort of got over my own little pity party, I said, you know what, I got at least one more fight left in me, right? But I kind of said, if I'm going to fight this time, if I'm going to do this, then I want to do this on my terms. I want to do this my way, the way that we've wanted to do the things for a long time. And I think 2024 was sort of the wake-up call to do that and to say, like, we can't keep doing the same thing, can't keep running the same plays that we've run since the 90s. Right? Sure. It just doesn't work anymore, and we have to be better. We have to be smarter.
No, that's absolutely, as you look at the previous election, as you look at the fight that we know that we have ahead, both at the state and the federal level, it takes people like you to step up and say, hey, we're just going to do this. We're going to play the game. It reminds me of the old West Wing quote, where they put up the poster, the post-it note. I'm dating myself from the 90s, and they say we're going to let Bartlett be Bartlett. I think is this the session where we let woo be woo?
I'm not sure how that would work out, but I think more or less it's not let woo be woo, but let Democrats be Democrats, right?
Yeah.
So Democrats for the longest time, I mean, what were Democratic big issues? We want to fund education. We want to fund healthcare. We want to make sure people have good jobs that pay actual living wages. We care about people's safety. We care about all these things for average everyday people. And that's what we've always cared about, right? But somehow in the last, like, let's say decade, that Republicans have been defining what Democrats are and who we are. We get goaded into their culture wars. We get pulled into it. And instead of talking and working on the things that Democrats deeply care about and are the most important to us, we diverted our attention. We went on and did other stuff. We started talking about other things. And it's really that, right? I want us to just go back. I want Democrats to be Democrats. I want Democrats to talk about those things in the way that we've always talked about them. That this is a fight, not just of Democrats and Republicans. This is a fight of the middle class and against everyone else, right? This is a fight for the working class, and that's what it's always been. And somebody had a great quote that says, they create culture wars so they don't have to fight the class wars, right? And Democrats need to go back to that. Go back to this idea that what makes America great is the idea that you can come from nothing, that you can have nothing, have no name, have no parents that matter, and you can claw your way to the top, and you can fight your way to the top. That's what America is. But over and over again, what they have shown us is they're not even quietly. They're very loudly closing those doors for us, loudly closing those doors for our children, and basically saying, hey, we're fine. You don't need to come up here. We're great. We're doing great up here. You wouldn't want to be up here, right? And so they throw in every hurdle that they can, that they used to push themselves up higher, right? Cheap higher education. When I went to school, I had a small, I went to school in 2000 and 2004, or I'm sorry, 96 to 2000, right? And back then, tuition was still regulated by the state, right? And I walked away from school after saving a little bit of money and working as an RA. I walked out with no debt.
Wow.
Because that's how cheap school was, right? That was a policy choice. That was a policy choice that said, we value our people over the people who are complaining about paying taxes, right? We value the coherence and the intelligence of our state, of the people in our state, because we know that they are the future. We value them over anybody who might complain that they have to pay for someone else's college, right? We need to go back to that. We need to go back to the idea that it's not just about college, but it's who's going to pay for it. College shouldn't just be there and be available. If it is inaccessible, if you can't pay for it, what's the point?
No, absolutely.
How do you tell second generation Latinos whose parents struggled and worked 18-hour days, right? How do you tell them, no, I'm going to go to school and take on massive debt loads? That doesn't make sense to them. You can't explain that because it doesn't make any sense, right? Especially, and take on this massive debt load for what? What amazing job are you going to get when you come out? Because right now we have people posting master's degree required jobs that are paying $12 an hour.
Isn't that
right?
something?
And people are, look at the teachers. People are going to college, taking on debt, signing up to be teachers, and we can't even give them a living wage. We can't even let them survive. Teachers all the time, them, are working second jobs, are working in the summer, doing anything. We got teachers fired for having OnlyFans. Instead of firing teachers for OnlyFans, why don't you fire the people who are responsible for not paying them? So they need to do an OnlyFans. right?
No, I totally understand.
That's the stuff Democrats need to be back on. We need to be enraged, right? Because that's what the vote was in November. The November election was America's pent-up rage about all the things going wrong in their lives, but they directed it at the people who were trying to fix things, right? Instead of directing it at the people who caused it. And that's our fault. That's our fault for not getting that message across. That's our fault for not being clear with people. Our fault for not defining ourselves and allowing other people to define us. Okay. So
no, I think that's amazing. I mean, that's one of the things that we have that we're hearing at the party level, that we're hearing at various levels, is that we've sat back and allowed Republicans to drive the message and to tell us what Democrats are. But speaking of which, we have a question about priorities. And so as we're talking about that, I want to bring Jeff Strader in. Jeff Strader is the DNC LGBT committee man, also former president of Texas Stonewall. So Jeff, I understand that you have a question about priorities for Representative Wu.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. And thank you, Representative, for being here.
Okay, I lost both your, can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can. And Robert, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Rep. We have we bring different people on the screen and whatnot. Let's see. We're going to give Representative Wu a moment to join in. How are you doing, Jeff?
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
There's a lot of excitement around the DNC. We're going to have to maybe give a little update about that at the end of this meeting.
Absolutely. I'll be here to the end.
Are you going to get to cast your vote for chair of DNC? You get a vote in that, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just made my hotel reservations and making my plane reservations. It's going to be really kind of a marathon because we elect people. You know, if we don't have someone who wins the majority,
all right,
then we go to a second ballot and whatnot. So it will be interesting.
I'm excited. Sorry to interrupt you. We have Representative Wu joining us. Are you back, sir?
Yeah, no, it's actually, I didn't drop. Y'all's screens went black. And,
sorry.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. But
I think we've had this problem with StreamYard before. Like when you guys switched over, like I couldn't see or hear y'all.
Oh, that's odd.
I had to just refresh my browser.
Okay, so I'm just gonna stay on while.
Yeah, just don't change anything.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Jeff jumps on. Go ahead and ask.
Yeah, and you can hear me now, right? Okay.
Yes.
Well, first of all, thank you, Representative, for being here. It means a lot to us, and also to thank you for being a fighter as well. We've never met, but I definitely follow you on social media, and I appreciate the advocacy and the work that you do. You had mentioned, so my question, as Robert mentioned, is about priorities, and you had mentioned fighting for the middle class.
Yes.
And understanding that the House Democrats are in the minority. What are the legislative priorities of the caucus, or at least what can the caucus accomplish this session being in the minority? If you can highlight those things for us, that would be great. And to just give you some background, I'm always fascinated, what's it like in the minority? What can you really possibly do? And so we'd love to hear it. So thank you.
So, well, the good news is I've only ever known Democrats in the minority. So this is just standard protocol for me. There's only a few members on the Democratic side who have been there long enough to remember when Democrats were in charge. I think that's Ms. T.
Yvonne Davis.
Yeah, Yvonne Davis. There you go. Yeah. Right. I'm trying to think who else, but virtually everybody
John
else. Yeah, a billion years ago. Right. So look, and I want to be very clear about this, and I'm glad you brought up priorities, because I was saying, and I want to be very clear that Democrats are not abandoning anyone, right? We're not abandoning trans kids. We're not abandoning school teachers. We're not abandoning anybody, even though we're going to change the way we talk about things, and we're going to change the way we make things, make issues a focus. And a lot of time, I think for what I want to see Democrats do is, as a strategy in the future, whenever Republicans put up legislation that talks about doing even worse things to trans kids, banning books, banning drag shows, whatever else garbage they got. My question is, how does this get people paid? How does this make the lives of Texans better? How does this increase people's paychecks? How does this improve their ability to buy insurance? Right? How does this fix the grid? If you can't answer those questions and we haven't done those things, why is this bill here? Right? And I think that needs to be a response from everybody. Is not just the outrage that they're carrying those terrible legislation, but don't you have something better to do? Don't you have actual priorities? Don't you care about what happens to Texans? Don't you care about people's livelihoods, right? And people's ability to pay for food, pay for housing, right? And really, we need to define the Republicans as unserious people, right? Democrats, we may be the nerdy school hall monitors, but if you ask us to do something and you give us the option, we take care of it. We get it done. If you say increase minimum wage, Democrats get it done. You say pay teachers more, Democrats will get it done, right? And all those things. And that's what we want to present to the average public is to say, like, we're here working on serious issues that affect your life. The Republicans want to beat up on trans kids, right? You tell me what's more important. I'll wait. And in terms of like what can Democrats accomplish, we've accomplished a lot in the years when we were in the minority. And what we're doing right now in the speaker's race is basically positioning ourselves to have more effect, right? And the difference, and people say like, it's going to be worse this time? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be worse, because here's the reality. For the first time in a long time, they've actually needed Democrats to form a government, right? Most of the times in the past, whether it was Bonin, whether it was Phelan, or even Strauss, most of the times they were just picking among average Republicans who were just center right and were basically about the same with just different personalities, right? And so this is the first time where we basically say, like, one guy is ultra MAGA and one guy is just a hard right Republican, right? I don't know about them, but for me, that's an easy choice, right? That's an easy thing to say, like, well, if it's going to be one or the other, then it should be the lesser of two evils. And that's not the best part. The best part is this, that neither of them can form a government without us, without Democrats. And so when bills come up that we may object to very, very strongly, we're going to say, reminder, by the way, the large majority of the votes that put you in power came from us. Be careful, right? So I think we Democrats, being a minority, have had great success in not only defending against the things that we don't like, but we've used use the skill and experience to navigate and push through legislation that we do like and that the Republicans might even oppose. But we've pushed it through because we've had no choice but to push it through. We've had no choice but to use other means to get around their roadblocks, right? And this is where the advocacy community can really come in and be clutch. Because a lot of these issues, the reason they're allowed to get to the way they are is because the general public doesn't care. And they don't know about it. They're not aware of it. If they knew about it, they would be upset. Let's help them be upset. Let's go out and talk about these things as much as possible. When they put up bills against the LGBTQ community, let's go have a protest. No, not just a press conference. Let's have a march. Let's have a protest. Let's make it known. Let's go annoy some people, right? And let people know something bad is happening so that more people will pay attention. And tell people, if you care about this, if you finally found out about this and you're angry, call your state rep, call your senator right now, email them, text them, do all three, do more, go visit them, right? And the more people push against these terrible things, the better chance we will have of saying, hey, guys, you see all that backlash out there? You don't want that. 2026 is going to be really tough for y'all anyways, because historically the voters have always punished the party of the president and then secondly, always punished the party that controls Congress. Well, now you can control both. So good luck in 2026. So maybe you guys want to chill out a bit and not incur their wrath. Maybe you want to work on some real life value, quality of life issues like funding education, fixing healthcare, right? Fixing the grid. Maybe you guys want to do some of those before, the voters come and smack you. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that not only are Democrats more united and more organized and more professional, but I hope our communities are ready to fight, right? And throw in everything they have and not just advocate among ourselves, but advocate to the public. I believe in the American people. I believe that the American people are good, decent people. And that if we go to them and say, this is wrong, this hurts people that you may not know, but we know them, and it hurts them, and it may make them kill themselves. It may make other people harm them.
Right.
And we hope that good and decent people will hear that and go, you're right. The good and decent thing to do is to not do this, right? We hope that as the finding out occurs in this next year, that people, after they found out and after they realize what they've done, will say the way to amend this, the way to fix your vote in 24 is to come help fix this, protect the communities that you've now put in danger. Right? Do something. Don't just sit there.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear kind of the dynamics of those conversations, especially with the chair's race and what can be achieved by, looking at some common grounds and getting things passed together. And hopefully we'll see that. And so I'm sure, I trust your leadership and look forward to your leadership on making that happen this session. So
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Representative, we really do appreciate you stepping up. I know you've got a big fight ahead. As you were talking about being in the minority, you want to focus on making sure that we're pushing back against Republicans. And we appreciate that. As members of the LGBT community, we know what it's like to be shoved in a closet, right? And be told that we're less than or told that we don't have a space. And we stepped up to be a part of this organization and to show up tonight. And we got some really great questions and we got some really great information. I'll be honest, we had several questions laid out that you barreled through all of them.
Oh, sorry.
So we appreciate. No, that's a good thing. But what can we do as a caucus to help you out and to make sure that we're providing support for you?
Yeah, everything. What do you got? I got everything. Everything from when we're through this, we're going to be coming to ask y'all for money, right? Because one of the things that we're doing to make the caucus more professional is we're hiring professional people to work in the caucus. We for the first time, we have a professional comms director. We have a full-time professional comms director. We have a full-time a services director. We have a full-time legal counsel, right? And the idea is that we can't keep doing it the old way. We can't do everything half-assed, right?
Yep.
We got to use our whole ass sometimes. Look, I think what would make a world of difference is what happens and the conversation that happens in the community. Not what happens in the building, but what happens in your neighborhoods, in your streets. And that requires people to talk to each other. I think one of the best things that can happen, best things that everyone can do is make it a point to go talk to people and meet them and know them. And then when these issues come up, bring it up with them. Talk about it. Talk about it with everyone. Be annoying about it, right? Because that's how people find out about stuff. Like so much pass through person-to-person communications. It's not the person with the 1 million followers. It's the guy with 10 people that he's friends with that passes it from him to them, and they pass it on to their friends, and right? That's how change actually happens.
Absolutely. And, you know, I know we will be doing our best to provide you support. And so if there's a message you want us to get out, if you need us to get any alerts, you know, let us know so that we can push it out. We are so proud of just the different groups. As you saw tonight, we have presidents from various chapters from across the state that are stepping up, and they've all told me the same thing. They want to show up in Austin. They want to participate. They want to do what they've got to do.
But here, I would say this. Don't just do Austin. Show up in your own cities and towns. Again, if you have the bandwidth, plan marches, plan protests, and just basically say we demand our rights. Right?
Absolutely.
Force the public to confront your reality.
No, that makes perfect sense. I think one of the biggest, you know, when I was running for president of Texas Stonewall, I went to Uvalde and I went to Del Rio and you know, not just the major cities, but some of the smaller towns. And there was a particular county judge that rings in my head. I won't call him out, but he was like, "Hey, I know you're here, but we don't have any gay people in my county, or we don't." And I'm like, "Dude, I met your chief of staff. I don't know what you're talking about." No, I'm teasing. I won't mention any names. But the reality is, like I told Representative González, the LGBT community, we're like Santa Claus. We do exist, and we're everywhere, you know. And so we certainly plan on putting our hands to the fight. As a matter of fact, we'll be coming out to an All Out for Equality Day there at the Texas Capitol in March, and so we've got a bunch of different events that we'll be planning out there. Representative Wu, is there anything else you want to say to the members of Texas Stonewall Democrats before you head out?
Keep the faith.
All right.
Don't. This is not the time to panic and run, right? This is the time to shoulder up and let's get ready to fight. I think we're approaching a time when we're going to fight the civil rights fight of our lifetimes, right? It's something that, you know, I always dreamed of, that we would be able to fight one day, because I always dreamed that, you know, I could have marched with MLK, been on the bridge with John Lewis. And I said, those days they're here. Those days are still here. Those opportunities and the time to be leaders, the time to be heroes is still here. And we call on everyone in the community. Don't wait for a hero. Be the hero. Right.
You know, it's funny that you say that, Rep. I've seen the movie Selma, and I've seen some of the different movies, and I was like, man, what would it be like to be in those times? But you're right. We're in the civil rights fight of our generations, and it is absolutely important. You know, Vice President Harris said, you know, the fight, it just means the fight's not over, right? If we haven't won, it's because the fight isn't over. So thank you, Representative Wu, for joining us this evening. We certainly appreciate it. And thank your staff for doing such a great job at helping to facilitate this for us. All right.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Take care. Texas Stonewall, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I want to just really say thank you for being here this evening. We had a lot of folks that made time out of their busy schedules to be here, and so we appreciate it. We appreciate both Representative Wu and Representative González for taking time as they prepare to go into the Texas legislature and move into their respective offices. As I mentioned, we are partnering with Equality Texas and various other LGBT organizations like Lambda Legal, HRC, and the Texas Civil Rights Project for an All Out for Equality Day at the Texas Capitol. We're going to have a big showing, and we want to invite each and every one of you to come out. It's going to be Monday, March 25th, 2025. I don't know why I said 2005. March 25th, 2025. You can go to texasstonewall.com and find the link to RSVP, and we'll be providing you with strategy, data, and just some training as we head into those days. So sign up sooner than later so you can get the alerts as to when we're going to be have trainings and whatnot. All right. So if you have any questions about us or our organization, you can visit our website, texasstonewall.com. Feel free to reach out to me, your president, Robert Vargas III. And we look forward to seeing you out in the Capitol. And listen, if you want to go and you don't know when's a good day, feel free to reach out to us. Email us at info@texasstonewall.com, and we'll be happy to provide you all with information. But for now, you all have a fabulous evening. Love one another, take care of each other, and stay warm out there. God bless you all. Take care.